Well, hello and thank you for joining me for another IT Wire and Alex on Tech video. I have with me today Kieran Taylor. He's a Senior Director, Product and Solutions Marketing, Technology and Development at CA Technologies. Welcome to the program.
Hi Alex, how are you?
Now it's good. Now it's day 2 of CA World 2017 and we had another great keynote this morning. But I thought we'd just start by asking you, we heard your title, but what's your role at CA entail and what, how long have you been here and what are you doing on every day?
So as you mentioned, it's covering both products and solutions marketing, and I'll break that down quickly. In the area of products, we sell software that helps businesses monitor their applications, their infrastructure, and their networks. So that's the product end of thing.
Yeah.
From the solutions end of things, we bring our products together under the banner of DevOps. So how can we, and I just incidentally wrote a book for
Excellent.
DevOps for digital leaders on this very subject. And so how do dev and ops teams collaborate to improve application performance and ultimately the end user experience?
And of course now it's DevSecOps because you've got to have security in there, baked in from the start.
Absolutely, yeah. No, security has to be thought of at the very ideation or inception of an application, not an afterthought.
Which traditionally it never has been because we were a much gentler, kinder world. But now, we live in a world where you've got to do it, otherwise you'll pay the price later. And it's much more expensive, as I remember hearing during the tour and elsewhere, that it's 30 times more expensive to fix it afterwards than it is at the beginning.
Precisely, yeah. An ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure.
Yeah. So what has your impression been of the last day and a half thus far? It's going to end in a few hours, but you must have had a lot of customer interactions and your own thoughts about the show floor, the talks.
Sure, yeah.
Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, well, if you look at the software development life cycle and you look at all the stages that software has to go through in what we call the modern software factory, there are a lot of different roles that would cover the progression of the application. And what I'm seeing at the show this year that I didn't see in previous years is that these roles are now kind of collapsing. And so, what was traditionally a strictly dev role or strictly an ops role, the collaboration that our software enables is really, I think, changing the org charts of some of these IT departments.
And, you're talking about the user experience and, the ways that software is being written is changing. But when it comes to measuring and monitoring this user experience, whether internally or externally, how are companies doing that and how do you expect that's going to change over the next 5 or so years?
So when we think about that digital delivery chain and all the links in the chain, you can think of, for instance, there's a network layer, then there's an application layer, there's infrastructure if you're deploying to the cloud as an example. Historically, those links have been very separate and very discrete, and you've had specialists and specialized tools to monitor each piece. What's going to change, Alex, and it already is changing, companies want a holistic view across that chain, and they want to be able to understand how was Alex's experience, and if it was poor, how do I double click into every link of the chain and I can see how the network supported or didn't support Alex's user session. That's what's changing.
Sure. And so how will it then change over the next half decade or so? I mean, it'll be much more automated, I guess, and much more detailed. And
right. There's a phrase that you may have heard in the IT industry, the last mile. And then the last mile has traditionally been thought of as how you get the application to the user. So it might be a DSL connection, it might be a cable connection, so on and so forth. What's happening now, Alex, is the last mile is now the first consideration. So we're seeing that a number of companies are starting to think about how can they move monitoring earlier into the development cycle. We call it shift left monitoring. Much as you just mentioned, security needs to be thought of at the inception of the application, so does monitoring. And so we're seeing that what was traditionally kind of a post-deployment consideration is now being considered early in that development cycle. So ops is effectively moving into the software factory and teaming up with the development teams to really help address user experience issues before the app is deployed.
Normally when I'm talking to executives that can't mention specific customers, but are there any examples that you want to share that don't expose who those customers are, but perhaps talk about industries where what you are doing has borne fruit?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, just today we heard from CNN. There's a vice president of digital products there, John Hashimoto, and he spoke today about CNN's experience with the 2016 election here in the United States. CNN, obviously being the premier news brand that it is seeing an increasing number of viewers now going to digital channels to consume information. And one way that CNN addresses that need is through a series of mobile applications. During the 2016 election, they had a mobile app called CNN Politics. And what they saw was, by monitoring the user experience, actually seeing how folks were using the application, where they clicked, where they didn't, what their performance was like, CNN was able to take that information back into the development team and actually, almost on a daily basis, update the application, optimize the application, thereby getting more user adoption, more user retention, and ultimately, really delivering a better digital experience for those CNN users.
On the fly enhancement, continuous enhancement, as I was talking about with one of the other CA executives, it's part of the goal. I mean, we used to have to wait years between operating system releases, and now it's all continuous. So we're in this continuous world.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. It's digital first, and we're seeing that disruption across all industries. So it's an exciting time to be working with our customers and deliver solutions like digital experience insights, which really help, I think, improve that user experience.
And I mentioned it with one of the other executives. We were in 2017. We all remember what the internet was like in 1995,
right?
And then when broadband started coming in the 2000s, and here we are in 2017, and we're still at the beginning of this whole thing. It's evolved so much, but as you get new capacities, new capabilities, you get greater expectations, and we find ourselves once again at the beginning of this journey. It's a never-ending journey.
Indeed, yeah, very much so.
Any thoughts on how things may have evolved further in a decade's time?
Well, yeah.
Will we have implants in our brains or holographic, app user interfaces?
I think we talk a lot about automation. We'll see that automation continue. Today, I think my area is monitoring, and as we look at monitoring today, it's very much a human-led endeavor. But with machine learning, data sciences, already we are seeing our software is able to make recommendations on how to remediate a problem. In the future, you'll see a world where the software makes the remediation itself. And so there'll be more of a kind of self-healing, autonomous approach to addressing performance issues. Today, it's more of like a trust but verify. We can make recommendations, but the human still wants to verify that that's the right fix.
Yeah.
But in the future, I think the humans will
trust.
Yeah, exactly.
And humans will be, hopefully doing much higher level thinking and things rather than having to sort of deal with the plumbing, as it were.
Exactly right. Yeah. And so that's the opportunity cost that many businesses face today when you have to get humans involved in, let's face it, some common problems, like plumbing problems, as you said. But yeah, in the future, when we can free them up, I think the rate of innovation is going to continue, and you're going to see some very exciting things happen in 10 years' time.
I can only hope. Now, one of the questions I like to ask, the second last question I always like to ask, is if you could please share some of the best advice that you've received in life to help you get where you are today.
My dad always told me, inspect, don't expect.
Yeah.
And so I've taken that approach throughout my career. When you expect something to happen, but you don't inspect and make sure that things are proceeding the way that you want, that's when things can go sideways. So that's a phrase that I carry with me, and I think it really helps me set expectations with colleagues, personal friends, so on and so forth.
It's like not doing the homework but expecting to ace the test. And my father's uncle always used to say, measure twice, cut once.
Very good.
Which is all on the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you have any final messages for IT Wire viewers and readers and for your current and future customers?
Certainly, yeah. I think I'd leave you with a comment around how important user experience is as we move more and more business online and interactions are increasingly digital. You really need to be thinking about, okay, what is the end user's experience? Is the app loading as quickly as it should? In the case of CNN, can I make some changes to the application to increase the usage and the adoption of the application? So, I would tell your viewers that if you aren't thinking about user experience, you better get started.
Your competitors are, right?
Exactly right, yeah.
Kieran, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it.